So, you're saying she's barren? My mother was crying. The doctor winces. That's not the first word I would use. But she is infertile. Yes. She turns to me. I'm sorry, Lorelai, but this early menopause is irreversible. You're not going to be able to have biological children when you're older. My mother lets out another sob and clasps her hands over her mouth. She is shaking. I turn to her and hesitantly place a gentle hand onto her back, rubbing smooth circles onto her shoulder blade with my thumb. It's going to be okay, I soothe. It's not the end of the world. She was making this a really big fucking deal. Yeah, it's not great, but come on. I'm 17 and not really too worried about my status as a child bearer when I'm older. And hey, not getting a period for the rest of my life sounds like a pretty sweet deal. So there were no tears from my eyes when I heard the news. But Mom is wailing like I'd just been diagnosed with a brain tumor. I make eye contact with the doctor and give a half-hearted shrug. She looks away. The only sound in the examination room is the cry of my mother. A few days later, and she's still not out of her funk. The door to her bedroom is shut and locked, and despite my persistent knocking, she refuses to answer. Her endless cries wafting through the wood and reverberating through the rest of the house. I pour some boxed pasta into the pot and wince as the water splashed over, the stove hissing in protest. Sadie, my younger sister of 4 years, watches from the kitchen table. I'm sick of pasta, she snorts. I roll my eyes. You don't like it? Cook for yourself. Ever since the news, Mom hasn't done anything. Eating, showering, talking. It's so unlike her. She's always been the most resilient woman I've ever known. A super mom, taking on the role of both mother and father for Sadie and I after our dad passed away. A pang of guilt settles in my chest as a noticeably loud sob bounces through the kitchen. Sadie groans. All this over your broken uterus. I bark out a laugh. Yeah, I guess she's pissed I can't be an incubator for her grandchildren. Over our buttered pasta, we listen as Mom's sighs settle down and finally subside, which we assume means she fell into a lightless sleep. That's been her routine the past 3 days. Cry, sleep, cry some more. I interrupted the silence. You done your homework yet? Sadie rolls her eyes. Yes, Mom. Just looking out for you. You don't want to be a family disappointment too. Her eyes softened at that. You're not a disappointment, Lori. It's not your... She is interrupted by a knock at the door. We are interrupted again by an even more surprising sound. Our mother's bed creaking as she bounds out of bed, through her door, into the foyer, throwing open the front door with a flourish. I gaze from the kitchen. A man I had never seen before stands in the doorway, balding and gray, a satchel on his hip and round glasses on his face. Nathan, she says, relief evident in her voice. Please, come in. Nathan enters the house, and they both enter the kitchen where Sadie and I were finishing up our pasta. My mother looks awful. Heavy bags under her eyes, hair frazzled and thinning, eyes red and bloodshot, still leaking with tears. but she musters a smile. For the first time in what seems like ages. Lori, Sadie, meet Nathan, a friend of mine. Hi, I respond, and Sadie follows suit. Would you like some pasta? Nathan chuckled humorously. No thank you, dear. His voice immediately puts me on edge. It's nice to meet you too. Your mother has told me wonderful things. Sadie was never one for subtleties. Mom, she says, who is this, and why is he here? Nathan laughs and my mom blushes. Be polite, girls. Nathan is here to help us. We're going to head to my office. All of us. I cocked my head, confused. We had never been allowed in Mom's office. Ever. Strictly off limits. Always locked. I was told it was because there were important legal documents that she didn't want her hands on. Mom was a lawyer. Your office? I repeat, hesitantly. I glance at Sadie. Blatant confusion is written on her face as well. Yes, my mother responds, now impatient. Come on, now. We don't have time to waste. The four of us trek up the stairs to the second floor and head for the door. Mom disappears for a moment and returns with a key, rusted in silver. She shoves the key in the lock and turns, opening the door with a solid creak. What the fuck? Sadie whispers, and I don't even hear my mother reprimand her over the buzzing in my head. I've never seen anything like this. The walls are stained with chrism messages, which I pray are in paint rather than blood. He is coming. At dawn, he will rise. Death to the non-believers. She who bears the sun will be blessed. Wooden totems litter the floor, pulled together with broken bones and filthy string. The skeleton of what looks to be a sheep slumps in the corner, like a toddler in timeout. A pentagram beats down from the ceiling like a sun. My mom sighs. Girls, you were meant to find this out later, but mitigating circumstances have arisen. Her eyes survey the room, filled with pride, as she straightens her posture and finally glances at my sister and I. Our family is special, howbeit unlucky. We have been blessed with the blood of Lucifer in every cell of our bodies, down a long lineage, and have lived to serve him as his children, and as such, we owe him the gift only we as women can give. His vassal to earth, his child. Sorry? What? I stutter, eyes fixed on the sheep carcass. He needs a son. The death of your father was punishment for bearing 2 daughters. I fear his next punishment may be worse. She glances at me, tears filling her eyes once more. Lorelei, we were so close, until you were barren. Her gaze shifts to the pentagon on the ceiling once more. Perhaps this is a test of my loyalty. Sadie and I make eye contact and turn towards the door, and Nathan moves to block it, his frame taking up the doorway, arms crossed over his chest. I fear there is no time to waste. My mother continues. Who knows what the next few years will bring, which is why I brought Nathan, to give Sadie a child before all hope is lost. What? Sadie shrieks, and I feel my jaw drop. "You're fucking insane," I scream. "You're fucking crazy. This fucking creep is not going to touch my sister." Adrenaline rushed through my veins. I turn to where Nathan stands, hands reaching for his zipper as my mother approaches Sadie. "No fucking way," I scream. The next moments seem like a blur. Sadie begins to sob as my mother braces her hands on her shoulders. Nathan's fly goes down as he fumbles with the zipper, and my foot and Doc Martens collide straight with his groin as hard as I could, eliciting a groan as he crumples to the floor. "Pervert," I scream. As he withers, my eyes move to the floor for something, anything. Spying a large bone on the ground, what looks like a femur, I lug it into my arms, struggling against its weight. I whip back around at my mother, who is attempting to restrain a screaming Sadie, before I swing the bone around my head and smash it against her skull. She falls as well, and I waste no time grabbing Sadie's hand and rushing out the door. As we race down the stairs, my mother's staggered voice follows us. "You won't get away, you fucking whores. We are all over the world, and we will serve our father." Sadie is sobbing as I throw open the front door and we run into the night. Destination nowhere. I have no idea where to go from here, and I swear, I feel something watching us. I think we are momentarily screwed. Do you have any advice? Shout out to my superfans, Sweet Black Swan, Tacy, and Brooklyn. I really appreciate you guys supporting my channel, and I really look forward to making more content for everyone.